a Tasmanian man has done something remarkable. He's documented close to every edible plant in the world. That's more than 31,000 plants catalogued according to where, when and how to grow them. And as Landline's Margot Kelly found out, his work is being used to fight child starvation around the world.
In the port city of Burnie, on the northwest coast of Tasmania, a quiet achiever has become the world's leading expert on edible plants. And Bruce French has taken over an old church to display his life's work.
So here's a nice traditional church, isn't it?
Oh, wow. No, this is anything but traditional. This is quite something. Wow, every square metre's got something on it, Bruce.
Yes, lots of stuff.
For more than 5 decades, agricultural scientist Bruce French has been cataloguing edible plants. Fruit, vegetables, nuts, legumes, you name it, he's tracked it down, along with how, when and where to grow it. So how many plants have you actually got now in this database?
31,170. So.
And constantly growing, I'm guessing?
Yeah, that's almost every edible plant in every country in the world.
That's phenomenal. You're obsessed.
I am, yes.
Why did you actually get into this? This is quite a specific hobby to have.
I'm getting over my embarrassment from about 54 years ago. I went to teach in Papua New Guinea and the student said, don't teach us Australian plants, we don't live in Australia. Don't teach us Australian methods, we don't have machines. Teach us our plants, methods for our country.
And then you had to learn those.
And I knew nothing about them, so I had to learn them and then I've just kept going. What about the next country, the next country, the next country?
His Christian faith drives him to continue to address child malnutrition. Bruce shares the posters, books and guides he's created for free. His website has had well over 7,000 downloads from countries across the world.
So we've got a whole room full of plants out the back to show you some of these amazing plants that suit Tasmania. So.
Thank you.
Come in and watch the Tasmania.
So this one I don't quite recognise, Bruce, but it's from your garden?
Yes, it's called yacon and it comes from the high Andes. It grows almost like a dahlia plant with little shoots around here and lovely big flowers, and then under the ground it has this big tuber.
Looks like a potato, that bit.
And the amazing part about it is it's lovely and sweet, so you can just peel it and eat it raw.
It's not just flavour Bruce cares about. He's focused on nutrition. And not all vegetables are created equal when it comes to essential vitamins and nutrients. Green leafy vegetables contain iron, but cassava leaves or amaranth are loaded with it compared to cabbage. And that's part of the message Bruce and his wife Deborah French have for communities they work with.
It's really getting them to look and learn what their local plants are, because often they are much more nutritious than introduced ones.
And it's quite surprising how much the countries you've visited, they've been wanting to grow Western foods when the more nutritious options have been there the whole time.
Yes, yes. And often it's because of colonialism, where like in Africa, European countries came in and colonised countries in Africa, and so they brought in their own temperate vegetables. And so really I remember I heard a story about one Kenyan man who said, I know cabbage is not good for my children, it fills their stomach up and there's not much room for anything else, but it has prestige.
Has the prestige?
Yes,
yeah,
it has
right.
the prestige.
There's no shortage of nutritious vegetables being grown in these fertile soils. But Bruce's work has made me think of things a little bit differently. To me, dandelions have always been a weed, but apparently their leaves and roots are packed full of vitamin A, and they don't go too bad in a pot of tea. I'm joining Carolyn Hingston for a cuppa. She's the project administrator with Food Plant Solutions, a not-for-profit organisation that uses Bruce's immense database as a basis for food programs across the world.
So we started with a focus on developing countries and you know, where malnutrition is rife, where you might see 50% of the children are stunted. And it quickly became apparent to me that we've got this massive issue in our own backyard, all across Australia.
In Tasmania, more than 70% of adults are overweight or obese, and nearly 1 in 3 children. But you can be overfed and still be malnourished. Carolyn says it comes down to a failure to eat 5 serves of veg a day.
Not just talk about potatoes and peas and all the vegetables that most of us know.
Which are all good for you?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
all good for, but talk about some that we're not so familiar with. So broaden the scope of vegetables and fruits that we're eating. Talking about dandelions, talking about ochre and okra, things like that. Certainly the publication that we've got for Tasmania includes those foods that are less well known.
And in this time of lockdowns and coronavirus, people have been a bit more inspired to get dirt under their fingernails,
Absolutely.
grow their own food, and you're trying to tap into that market as well, provide information there?
Very much. So we've been creating and can create for any district a bulletin basically that explains key nutrients, how your body uses them, and then identifies plants that fit into the 5 main food groups, and then from that how to grow them and how to use them and what the nutritional benefits are. So we've made them for, say, the Blue Mountains or for Goulburn here in Australia, but we've also made them for Finland, places in the US.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Pretty mild, that's not too bad.
No, it's mild.
All right, let's take our cups of tea and chat to Vietnam.
Sounds good.
A project partner in Vietnam is seeing benefits firsthand. AOG Vietnam works in the country's rural areas where around a quarter of children are malnourished.
We started with a little garden in a kindy, and in Vietnam, kindergartens have a kitchen attached, so they were not only learning the value of good quality crops and how to look after them without pesticides, but they could actually, benefit from eating them. And we've gone on to 16 gardens now.
The children are weighed and measured each year, and schools with the gardens are getting results.
Malnutrition rates are dropping, enrolments are going up, kids staying in school is going up, because before kids would only stay till lunchtime, like 10:30, 11, then go home, and most wouldn't come back after lunch.
Why is information from Tasmanian-based organisation actually helping Vietnamese communities know what to grow?
A lot of knowledge from Vietnam is passed down generation to generation. So if generations and parents unaware of what's actually valuable, they can't pass that along. So when we go through, sit down with the teachers, the principals, parents, with the guide, and go through, the amazing nutrition of, a certain plant, and their mind is blown that the root is actually more, valuable than this other thing. And then they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know this was so nutritious. This grows, down the road, and we've never even thought of it before.
Agricultural engineer John McPhee helps turn the database of over 31,000 plants into easy-to-read guides.
Bruce has done all the hard yards in making it available in the database, but this is more about tailoring for specific circumstances or specific people's needs.
So, welcome to the garden.
Like tailoring it for Devonport Community House, which is planning a workshop at its thriving garden for community members. For John, it's satisfying to know his work is having an impact abroad and at home.
But just having a small part that I can actually do at home after hours, it doesn't involve having to travel around the world to do stuff. And it's just bringing this information together, making it available for other people in whatever form they want.
While Food Plant Solutions is focused on gardens, it has some serious broadacre ag credentials on its board. So this is your old stomping ground in a way, Buzz?
It is, yeah. It brings back some fond memories of the earlier days.
Agronomist Buzz Green has created multiple successful agricultural companies in Tasmania that now employ hundreds of people. It's a good place to get in from the rain, Buzz.
Absolutely.
He says farmers and agronomists produce fresh, safe, healthy food, but often don't consider the nutritional value.
you go and talk to Western trained agronomists and say, here's a number of plants, can you rank them in terms of their concentration of different nutrients? Let's say zinc, for example. Which one would have the highest zinc and which one might have the lowest zinc, and where would they fit? Well, most of them wouldn't have any idea. In fact, I've put people to the test and no one has any idea.
After hearing Bruce French give a presentation on his database to a Rotary Club back in 2007, Buzz helped found the not-for-profit Food Plant Solutions to spread the message.
A very simple thing was to say what plants grow best in this location and what are the plants that are most appropriate for the nutritional needs of the people. A very simple approach. And I'd been involved in trying to grow crops in places where they weren't really suited to or meant to be. So the whole concept resonated very strongly with me.
So one of the programs they run is for migrant communities or new Tasmanians, to give a bit of an introduction to what actually grows in this climate. So I'm on my way to meet Pradeep Dangana, who was part of a workshop last year specifically for the Nepalese community of Hobart.
Yeah, I have divided the land in the very small piece of the land to grow the different type of the vegetables.
I have to say, given that it's the middle of winter in Tasmania, I thought it would look a lot more barren, but you're doing a fabulous job here.
Yeah, I have just chosen some sort of the winter vegetables to grow up.
Pradeep had not grown his own food before moving to Tasmania 10 years ago. He built the retaining wall himself and brought in 16 truckloads of dirt to set up his garden. It's going so well, the only risk is producing more than his family can consume.
See how well it grows here.
Oh, gorgeous, look at that.
Yeah, we can...
So you don't want too many radishes, really, for a family of 3?
Yeah, because we can't go to the market and we can't sell in the market anyway. So we are just using that these kind of the vegetables for our use only.
So everything here, it's really about providing fresh food for your family?
Yeah, fresh fruit for the family only, for home use, basically.
Food Plant Solutions helped him supercharge the garden, and other community members have since started their own.
It's more effective after I participated in the workshop.
What Bruce has done in the database is fantastic. You know, I mean, there's just so much information in there from so many sources, and you know, bringing that information together as he's done over his life has been a monumental task.
For his work, Bruce French was made an Officer of the Order of Australia in 2016. But his commitment, indeed obsession, is never going to end. And how do you feel when you know you've changed something?
Oh, I'm delighted, yes. I'm not trying to make fame or fortune. I'm not interested in those. I'm interested in hungry kids not dying before they get to school.